farmer, friend, singer-songwriter, Lyal Strickland.
That's farmer, friend, and jack of all trades, Chris Horn.
And we're those Tastebud guys.
That's actually turned out way better than I thought it was going to be honest.
I almost remembered it.
So, up front, we just found a guitar in the corner, and Lyal tuned it up, and I said, hey, can you play the intro live without actually doing it? And he did it. So,
Missing an E string.
It was missing a string, too. I mean, props. I'll give you that, and this is not our first episode of the night. If you guys have been following along, I don't know when we're going to release this one, but we're about 6 in right now. So, let's give this guy some...
Yeah. I'd link the Spotify link, but they don't pay anything, so it doesn't matter.
Hey, we're still up in Kansas City. This is the TTBGRT episode.
Something like that.
Yeah, figure that one out.
I don't know if I got that right at all. So hey guys, we're still up here at Patrick's place in his basement, in his bar, and drinking all his beer.
This, right?
We haven't supplied a thing for this show. This is
nothing,
amazing.
not one thing.
And we thank you again, Patrick.
Before we get to all that, remember to like, subscribe, check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter,
and Patreon. Because yes, you too could also let us into your house to drink all of your booze by just mailing us a key, and we will take care. It's not true at all. $4 a month, guys. You can buy us a beer, and we would greatly appreciate it.
And think about just buying your buddy a beer.
We're buddies.
So,
we're buddies.
We're going to do something that we have talked about doing on the show for a long time. We do a lot of great whiskeys. We do a lot of great tequilas. We do a lot of bad tequilas and the bad whiskeys. We do some fantastic craft beers, but we don't do a lot of quote-unquote junk beers.
What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
Dude, I think we should have had a discussion before we got on here what you're going to say. First of all, this is a malt liquor. It's not a beer. Second of all, the reason we're doing this tonight is because the first time I ever had one of these, Patrick and I used to work together for DirecTV back in the day, and we was on what you called what did they call that team? I guess it wasn't a travel team.
No, it was like the disaster response.
Jump team. Yeah, disaster response. That's pretty much what it
That sounds a lot better.
Yeah, disaster response team for DirecTV. Anyhow, we traveled around different areas, and while in Little Rock, this dude grabs one of these beers and starts doing all kinds of crap to it and said, this is the best way to drink this beer. And I tried one and was like, dude, this is nasty.
Now, here's why I say junk beer, because here's my experience with Mickey's Fine Malt Liqueur. Liquor?
Liquor's different.
Right. My experience is that, like, the dude that goes in and buys Mickey's is well aware that the ABV on this is higher than Bud Light by a long shot. They're looking for a buzz. They're looking for just a cheap drunk, which Mickey's is.
What is it?
I don't know.
Nice and beautifully cheap. But
I'm looking at what the videos would look like as me and him both over here going like this. Like, what is the ABV on this? We don't even know.
See, when I go buy a Mickey, I go to buy a fine-tasting beer.
Right.
Fine-tasting.
That's just my personal thing. But here's the thing. They're not expensive. And they are
not.
Good and delicious. And now, they're fine by their own.
Oh, they are.
But what do you do to doctor them up?
The redneck martini.
Yeah.
And in my case, a little bit of salt. But the first time this happened to me, we was down there in Little Rock, and he made this concoction. I had one, and I thought, this is the nastiest stuff. I didn't want nothing else to do with it. But oddly enough, about 3 or 4 months later, I'm sitting there at my house. I'm not even working for that company anymore. And all of a sudden, I think about Patrick.
Do your best.
No.
This drink comes into my mind, and I have to have one. And ever since then, it's been a staple for me. However, I always have the trouble of when I add salt to it, it spews everywhere. And I asked Patrick about how in the world he keeps you from doing it. He said, well, you don't put salt in it, dummy. You just add more olives. So apparently that's what we're doing.
So one thing you got to keep in mind is the olives are a snack for
You're
during
a ninja, Lyal. You're a ninja.
and after. But it also adds a saltiness to your beer. So you add as much as you are hungry, or your beer will allow you. Oh, I just pulled a Lyal.
Again,
Another one.
I'm not getting that one.
I'll get them all. Don't worry.
I am with Chris. I've only done a couple of olives and some salt.
Where's the spoon?
When you put the salt
I thought
in,
that would work, but it didn't.
bubbles up and it's hard to contain.
Yeah, but how do you get the olive juice out? Because that's the parts that you really like.
Oh, it's in there. Just keep adding, man.
All right, keep adding. So
And if you need to.
I'm going to.
Yeah, I need a little juice in there. I don't get enough olives.
I ingenuitively ladled mine out with a deal. Now, speaking of the top, we're going to talk about this in a minute. But should you ever find yourself in the position where you have a Mickey's beer with the bottle, take the cap off and look up underneath. And there is a puzzle, a brain teaser, if you will, which we are all going to solve here tonight upon our own and show you our absolute intellect.
So, what you have here now is you have a fine beer, not a bad beer, a fine beer.
It needs salt. I'm sorry, the olive juice.
Do you have salt down here?
I don't have salt down here.
Oh,
You're asking too much.
I'm just saying, my personal preference is if you get this beer, add a little bit of salt.
I think you're right.
I'm usually right.
Well, I wonder, can you guys talk?
Can we talk? Oh, I didn't even. Okay, I tell you what, we're gonna solve some beer since Patrick took it upon himself to run up the stairs.
No.
And I mean, that's a lot of stairs, guys.
Should we talk about the flavor of this? Because there's
All right.
not a lot to write.
Let's do nose and flavoring real quick.
Smells like beer.
And olives. But no corn.
Tastes like
You getting corn on it?
no corn.
No corn. Oddly enough.
That was quick.
Oh, there's salt.
What? Okay.
Let me ask you this though. What you said it tastes like beer.
Yeah.
What is the difference? Get ready to slurp that. It's going to go nuts.
I just had a little bit. Just a little. Just a shade. What's the difference between what?
All right. You said it tastes like beer.
Yeah.
What's the difference between this and Budweiser Bud Light?
Honestly, I don't like the flavor of this as much. It's not
Well, there's
crisp.
a reason we put salt and olives in it.
It's a shade skunky.
I like skunky beer. Corona is one of my favorite beers.
Yeah, well, it's skunky. And what do you do with Corona? You put something in
Put
it because
salt in
it's
it and a lime. But there is something about this specific combination that makes it good.
You know what I really
Special.
You know what I really think it is I think they're cool bottles. It's an old brand. It's a throwback beer. That's what I really think it is. But it is great. It's like drinking a red beer. Like there's something that you remember an old dude drinking at the end of the bar at 3:00 in the afternoon.
We're gonna have to do red beers on here. When we do red beers, we need to get Colby on here because his go-to is a red beer, but we all do them differently. So that's a whole different episode, I guess, when Doctor put those particular things.
Man.
So anyway,
Anytime you hit an olive, it's so good. And you did a good move by getting such a large jar of olives.
Yeah, I normally put 2 in mine. These guys are putting like 8.
I would
so
fill
we
this,
now have
Okay.
a
fill
drink.
this whole thing.
We have a
Because
snack.
I think this may take more time than just tasting notes on a plain
I
beer.
already got mine.
Has everybody figured out their riddle?
I think so. I think I've got mine.
All right. You want to start with yours? You start mine or yours?
I think mine is...
What does it look like?
So it's SP with a little crescent moon
Okay.
and a little person. And I think the hands are doing this, and I think it means spoon me.
I think he's right.
I concur. Actually, I totally agree. Patrick, you got yours?
I do. And I actually am very similar. There is a check mark with a person doing this. And then there is a ball going out of a box. I think it means check me out.
I don't know if I'd have got that one, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'd have quite figured that one out. I have 2 guys in a sparring position like this, facing each other, with a paddle, an F, and an on light bulb, and I think mine says fight or flight.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. So, those I'm pretty sure get harder the more you drink.
I was going to say, I believe that's a sobriety test is what we call that.
Well,
Here's the thing. I just love the nostalgia effect. You just feel good.
Means we can all go
Holding
drive the
this-
golf cart still.
yes.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything else to say about this? I just love the aspect of it. I love salty drinks, so like a good
Yeah, so
mock martini is fantastic.
give it a shot. If you are have a preconceived idea about some cheap beer or some random drink that someone's concocted and they're sticking stuff down in it, it might not be all bad. The beer itself may not be the best on stand alone, but there's some pretty unique things that happen when you add some other ingredients to it, and this is no exception. It took me a few months to get used to, but now it is one of my absolute go-to drinks, and every time I do, think of Patrick, and I thank Patrick for showing it to me.
Yep.
By the way, Mickey's isn't the only one. You know what actually goes really good with the olives too?
What's that?
Any Mexican beer. I usually
I
go
would
with
agree with
Dos Equis.
I thought you were gonna say gin, but yeah, Mexican beer sounds good too.
gin.
Mexican beer. I mean, she likes olives, but
Hey, we got a
You're
gin
talking-
coming
oh.
up, don't we?
What's that?
A gin. You said gin. We've got a gin coming
We
up.
do have a gin coming up from a friend of ours who is a musician. Some notoriety a load of notoriety in the 70s and 80s, 90s. He's just a cool dude, and he's released his own gin, so stay tuned for that. Not going to give anything away right now.
I agree.
All right, well, until next time.
whether it be the snack that you're having,
Oh, he's so on this. The snack in your drink you're having.
The easiest martini you've ever made.
Beer martinis. I never thought about it like that.
Uh-huh.
Close your word.
Grab a buddy and try something new.
new.